Okay. Hello, beautiful people. I hope you're having an amazing day. You are a star, just like this beautiful sun here. Don't let anybody dim your light. Today, we have an amazing guest. I'm so excited to have Marianna connect with you guys. She is a colon therapist. Okay, a colon therapist. Okay, I haven't heard of this before. And I'm so excited to learn more about this. She's also an expert on juicing and fasting. This is something she does regularly. I've seen you do a lot of this and get people to join you and, really do some deep, deep work, some really, really deep work. Because I think a lot of people are misinformed with fasting and cleansing. And, where do we start? I get a lot of questions myself, and I'm quite unsure like where to start. I try to encourage, just 16 8 methods, and then go from there, and then do your own research. But please let us know who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, cool. So I'm Marianna. I'm a colonic hydrotherapist. I also run a juice cleanse business, and I do some online coaching as well, guiding people through cleanses and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I'll talk a little bit about my background and how I got into it. So I'm actually a chef, and I run a plant-based catering business, mostly for yoga retreats and things like that. And a few years ago, I decided to go to Bali and do a raw food chef training. So that was kind of just like I wanted to learn more about food and wanted to, make pretty creative, brightly colored things. And yeah, that's when I really got into colonics actually. Because I was on a retreat space in Bali, kind of, away from the hustle and bustle. And it was the first time in my adult life that I'd had to go a period of time without coffee. And that was pretty And yeah, it made me realize how dependent my body had become on coffee to, have a bowel movement and to eliminate waste from my body. So by day 3, I was just like, oh my God, like feeling so strange from all the like change in diet and everything else that was going on. And my teacher there, his name's Ben. He's an absolute legend. Someone I've really learned from over the years. He encouraged me to, go and get colonics every couple of days. And I literally came out of that training a different person from it. So I found that avenue and decided to train as a therapist.
That's amazing. And I see you do a little bit of you live a little bit of a mermaid lifestyle. That really intrigues you because it's a very unique lifestyle. And this place is a place of game. It is a place of playing. And it's so important. It's so key to live that that childish nature because it's what makes us feel alive, and it gives us all this beautiful dopamine rush. How did you come across the mermaid lifestyle?
Good question. I guess I'd always just loved mermaids as a kid. And living in Bondi, I met one of my good friends, Eve, who runs mermaid swimming lessons, and got into it from that. But also, in terms of swimming in the ocean, the cold therapy I just found really beneficial for my health. Especially with raw foods and juicing and fasting. It makes you realize how dependent you are on food to heat your body. So
that's awesome. And the other great thing as well is like if you're someone who's lifting a lot of weights, and doing strenuous exercise, the ocean is a great way to cleanse the body and get rid of a lot of that lactic acid that's built up from that strenuous movement. Now, let's get into the colon cleanse. There are so many different ways to do it. There's like enemas, and I don't know. There's so many different methods. Where does one person start in terms of cleansing the colon? Because I remember last time we spoke, you said there were so many different ways, and a lot of us really have a lot of shit up there. Really, we have a build-up of all these bad habits that we've created from since we're maybe a little kid, and now we've built this problem where we've built this gut, and now we don't know how to deal with this gut. And where do people start? Like, what's the first thing we can do to get rid of the things in the pipe?
Yeah, so the best way to start is always to, change your diet, make sure your diet's pretty clean. That's the first step, lots of fiber, lots of foods that are going to hydrate you and sweep things out. And then in terms of colonics, there's a few different methods. So there's obviously enemas, which is like the at-home method. They're great, and I recommend clients to use them in between colonics, but they don't get as deep as an actual colonic. And then in the world of colonics, there's open methods and closed methods. So open methods where you are kind of left in a room and you administer it yourself. And then closed method is where there's a therapist with you that guides you through it. And then within that, there's two different methods as well. There's a machine-based method, and then there's the gravity method, which is what I practice.
Okay.
So yeah, when I first started getting colonics, I started on the machine-based one because I'd never tried the gravity one. And yeah, I thought it was great at the time. But yeah, the more I learned about gravity, the more I wanted to go down that avenue. So the gravity one, there's no pressure, pumps or motors or anything like that used. And little pulses on the hose, which actually stimulates the bowel muscles. So it's almost kind of like a personal training session for your colon. It kind of gets it stronger over time. Yeah, and you then become better by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some of the other things your body can become dependent on them.
Yeah. How important is it having like a flowing gut, and how much is it connected to our mood? Because I know, like, you know, they say like a lot of the serotonin comes from the gut, and a lot of us think that it comes from our mind, but really, you know, a happy gut is really a happy human. How connected are we to that and our moods?
Yeah, it's very connected. I mean, yeah, we can hold up to 15 kilos of waste in our colon, so it's a lot of stuff we can do there. And yeah, and I mean, for me personally, like if I feel kind of out of balance in my gut and in my body, I just feel really sluggish and lethargic. Yeah, so we store a lot of emotional trauma in our gut as well. So
yes, that was one very fascinating thing that you shared last time. I was mind blown. Like, storing a lot of these, like, a lot of people don't realize, even it doesn't just have to be the gut, but a lot of the things that we may experience as a child, we store it somewhere in our body, emotional, physical, whatever it may be. But the gut itself, like, how does that affect our day-to-day life in terms of those traumas? Like, and how do we release them?
Yeah, well, a lot of the traumas kind of show up in our subconscious mind, so we're not even aware of them unless we're doing deeper work to shift through them. But yeah, colonics definitely helps. I've had experiences before with clients where they've been on the table during a session and then they've had like flashbacks to childhood, and things have come up that they haven't remembered, and they've released a lot of childhood trauma and had a lot of tears. So
powerful.
Yeah, so powerful.
Now, you do a lot of fasting. What sort of fasts are you doing? I like to exercise the 16-8 method. Sometimes I'll do just 1 meal a day, but you go to the next level. You go fucking no, you don't have any cooked foods. You don't, you know, I think you go on water fast sometimes, don't you? Or you take big breaks from just eating. Eating itself, I realize the more I fast, the more I realize how unnecessary it is. Like, the habit of just eating and going our way just to get food, when really, like, it should be a way of like celebrating like what we've achieved, to, you know, to gather all these beautiful resources like fruits and vegetables, you know, and using it for the purpose of just getting us from A to B. What sort of fasts are you currently doing, and what are some which ones do you recommend out of your experience?
Yeah, so I do a lot of different fasts. I try to practice intermittent fasting pretty much every day. And then I also do juice fasts, water fasts. So it really depends, like, what I've got going on at the time, like, you know, working around work, how much energy I need. But yeah, my longest fast I've done is I did a 10-day water fast. And then I did 7 days on juice beforehand and after, just to kind of come into it.
Wow.
So yeah,
so your juice fast was a warm-up to a water fast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah,
I noticed
the kind of thing that, you know, you kind of you build up the willpower, and the best way is to start with like shorter fasts and work with a coach and kind of build up to it gently.
What benefits can people experience from fasting?
Oh my gosh, so much stuff. It can help with, you know, your general everyday stuff, like getting rid of brain fog, feeling sluggish. But yeah, it can also heal, like, you know, there's been situations where it's healed cancer. I've heard of people regrowing toes and like parts of their body that have been cut off, like all these crazy things. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. The body is so freaking
podcast, actually. If you want to check it out, or if any of your listeners want to check it out, it's a Rich Roll one, and he interviews Goldhammer. So yeah, check out that one.
Okay. Awesome. Now, you're very passionate about juicing and juices. What sort of juices should people jump on now? Is it other things that they should be avoiding, like mixing fruits and veggies, or like getting enough energy, or like where can how can a person start their juicing journey, and how long should they go for?
Yeah, the best way to go to start is just pretty much go with what you like because that's going to make it
Mm,
easier to do.
yeah,
I recommend high fruit juices because they're really detoxifying.
yeah,
There is elements of food combining that comes into it, but I wouldn't
yeah,
worry too much about that for juicing.
yeah,
That's more if you're eating the food
yeah,
solidly.
yeah,
And then, yeah, I'm sure you know about the whole celery juice craze as well. A
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people in the
yeah.
celery. Yeah, so celery juice is awesome, but I don't really believe that there's any benefits from having it isolated on its own. And I find
Mm,
that if people are new to juicing and they want to have a bit more energy to sustain themselves, like, to their next
yeah,
meal, to lunch or whatever, I would
yeah,
recommend adding some apple juice or, yeah, something like that that's just going to give it a bit more
yeah,
sustenance.
yeah. Um, I noticed as well that you're doing some sort of retreats. You do some retreats. You help people. What are these retreats about? And is it like a guide for people? How does that work?
Yeah, so with my background as a chef, that's kind of where I started was retreats, and it's always been such a
Mm,
beautiful way for me to connect with people and
mm,
get to know them. And then, yeah, with the lockdowns and stuff, it's been really sad because I haven't had that as much anymore. So I'm
yeah,
running my online retreat,
yeah,
and it's going to be basically just guiding people through some recipes and meal plans and things like that that can help
yeah,
them, yeah, have a bit of a more
yeah,
balanced diet.
yeah.
So that's going to be exciting. I'm really looking forward to that.
That's amazing. Now you're a vegan yourself, right? You're how long have you been vegan, and what's made you made that switch? What's made you connect the dots and think, nah, this is for me? And yeah,
Yeah, so I've been vegan, gosh, almost 7 years actually.
yeah,
Yeah, almost 7 years. And yeah, I guess most people go vegan by, they hear about animal cruelty and then they kind of go veggie and kind of go vegan. That seems to be the most common way, but mine was a little bit different actually. I was paleo to start with.
yeah. Oh
Um,
wow,
yeah, I was a big follower of Pete Evans and saw his kind of work. And then
yeah,
one of the paleo groups that I was in on Facebook, someone randomly posted, "Oh, check out this audiobook by Rich Roll. It's a really inspiring story, but it's not paleo." And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff just makes sense. So that's
mm,
when I decided to go vegan. And I feel like it was a really good transition for me because I was already, eating organic, not consuming
mm,
dairy. So I did it in
yeah,
more of a kind of healthy way. I think it's quite
yeah,
easy to fall into the vegan junk food
yeah,
trap.
yeah.
So yeah, that's where my journey started.
Amazing, amazing. Now, as a plant-based chef, as you know, like when you make that switch, a lot of people think, oh, like going into veganism, there's a lot of bland. It can get quite boring. But I know from your experience, you're probably thinking, no, you actually get way more creative. There's a whole world of different recipes that you can create, and it's actually, if anything, you're eating a lot more than what you used to because the calories are a lot more dense. You're getting you got a whole world of more options that you didn't think was possible. Like for example, I didn't realize like hemp seeds existed until I went vegan. When you start making more conscious choices, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like, whoa, there's chia seeds, like flax seeds. Oh my goodness. Um, in terms of like making that transition, what are some ways for people to enjoy like that switch? How can they make things a lot more easier and enticing?
Yeah, I would say just get creative and try new things. Like you
Yeah,
said, I've tried so many things since going vegan that I'd never even heard
yeah,
of before.
yeah,
Yes, stuff like durian and jackfruit and all the
yeah,
crazy things.
yeah.
So yeah, so get creative, and if there is a particular food that you're quite attached to, maybe cheese or whatever,
Mm,
find recipes that mimic that, so you can get like a
yeah,
lot of cheese sauces that will kind of replace that, and
yeah.
then also just to trust the process because as
Mm,
you get further down the vegan track, your taste buds start to change and adapt. So
hmm
for me now, if I was to taste a piece of meat or dairy or whatever, it would probably taste so different to me now than what it tastes.
mm.
So yeah, just trust that that's all going to shift, and yeah, the addictions will go away.
Amazing, amazing. Well, you've answered pretty much a lot of the questions. Where can people find most of your work and your services? I know you're doing online coaching as well. Anyone who wants, help with the gut, this is the person to speak to. If you need help with, eating, getting more creative in the kitchen with your foods, this is the person to speak to. Where can they find you?
So I'm mostly active on Instagram. So my Instagram is Heartbeats Health, and it's spelled beets as in beetroot. So yeah,
love it.
Play words there. And then my website's just the same, heartbeatshealth.com. So yeah, that's the best place to find me. And I love a good chat. If anyone wants to reach out, just hit me up.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This person, she's giving away information freely. I mean, make the most of it. This person is a dime. So I'll leave the her information in the description in the Spotify and the YouTube channel. Marianna, thanks so much for your time. I know you're a busy person, healing others through this through these big changes that we're all experiencing. And right now, the best thing we can do is look after our fucking guts, because that's going to affect everything, and that should be where our biggest priority is. And the better our gut is, the better we can live and serve others. So again, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And I will speak to you guys soon.
Yeah, I'll chat to you soon.
Thank you. Peace. Much
See you
love.
later.